Hello, welcome back to another stream. For this video we will be looking at early game space combat. As I know, we've got a whole series of tournaments from Montu coming up over starting in a few hours, about 3 hours I think, then and proceeding over the week and the final next weekend. So let's have a look at some early game combat, because I'm sure there's going to be a bit of that going on, because we've seen plenty of later technology in our fleet combat. So what we're looking at here is just how good are frigates in the early game and what can we do to counter them. So here we've got a fleet of 80 frigates. The fleet capacity is 80. I've kept it about that because that's generally what you get by about year 30ish or so. For this fleet, I've made the fleet cap a little bit higher just to balance out the alloys, because at 80 that was significantly less, so I thought I'd boost the destroyers up to compensate for that. So we've just got some kinetic and plasmas just to give a good balance between shields and armor and hull, and just a whole series of basic technologies, armor and shields, just some afterburners we get in there quick, picket computers, and just standard low tech fit out. For the frigates, we're running with level 1 space torpedoes, level 1 missiles, and once again just standard shields and armor with the torpedo combat computers. So these two fleets cost roughly about 12,000 alloys each. Okay, so let's go ahead and see who wins.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Okay, missiles firing off, there's some plasmas, torpedoes going in. We've lost some frigates, destroyers are holding up good for the moment. Well, now they're dropping the second and third volley of torpedoes coming in. Let's check the damage quickly. Yeah, look at those space torpedoes leading the charge there, over 20,000. Yeah, they are really hammering into them, hammering into armor and hull. I think this battle will be over very soon. You can just see their hull points going to look at the hull points dropping so quickly. Bang bang, just to getting lots of damage. Okay, so that's the end of the battle. How many did they actually lose? So destroyers, 30 destroyers. What did we lose? 23 frigates. Okay, so that shows you how strong frigates are even against destroyers, which are one of the smaller ships for obviously for torpedoes to target with the multiplicative damage. But often in that 30, 40, 50 year period, you'll see people with lots of fleets of destroyers. Probably once you get to year 40, 50, you're going to have better tech than this. They may even have better tech. Anyway, it might be more like level 3, but this is to show the point. So if someone's using mass destroyers against you, frigates highly effective. So you can use them, provided they haven't got any other screening ships. It's pretty effective. Okay, let's move on to the next battle. So for this battle, we've got our same fleet of frigates, no changes at all, and we've got 22 cruisers, about the same naval capacity. I think it's slightly less actually. Once again, I'll just put a couple more cruisers in there to balance out the alloys. So cruisers have got torpedoes as well, plus they've got kinetic, lasers, and missiles. So we've got all around an overall good mix of firepower, shields, armor, some auxiliary fire control, afterburners, torpedo combat computers, so that will charge in and do extra damage. Hopefully torpedoes. Hopefully they will work against frigates. That's probably the lowest level of multiplicative damage. So, but that's 3 times 22, so we've got 66 torpedoes. That's a fair bit of torpedo firepower. So let's see how this goes. Frigates will most likely have the advantage due to the multiplicative damage. one of the biggest advantages frigates have
Hostile
is
fleet assets
the
engaged.
fact that they only cost 1 point to build. So you can stack so many of them, and with the multiplicative damage, they're just devastating to so many fleets. You can see here already the cruisers are getting pasted. Look at that hull damage going down. Bang. So they're just about wiped out. Let's just check the damage quickly. Space took me to 48,000. See, that's just that multiplicative damage. The battle isn't haven't even been going very long. Ugh. It's just a slaughter. Absolute slaughter. So, let's see. How many did they lose? Cruisers, they lost 12. And we lost 7 frigates. Absolute slaughter. So, if you get cruisers early on, if you're getting cruisers by year 2025, you're doing pretty good. You need screening ships. Do not use your cruisers without screening ships now. You will get wasted big time. Unless you know perfectly what your enemy is doing, you need screening ships for those cruisers, because if they send in frigates, you're done. Your game's over. Doesn't matter how many you have, you can outnumber them probably 3 to 1 and they'll still beat you. Alright, let's move to the next battle. So we've tested out a couple of the main ships that people will be building by year 30, 40, which is destroyers and cruisers, depending on your tech. In this flight, we're adding in some screening ships. So we're testing out the effectiveness of frigates when they're up against screening ships as well. So in this fleet, we've got our cruisers, same cruisers that we had in the previous battle. And we've got our destroyers, which we used earlier, same sort of destroyers. And there's so many possible combinations of weapons, it's impossible for me to test everyone. But you might want to add disruptors or something in here as well. Disruptors are quite good against frigates and corvettes as well, so that's another one. But I will show you some battles of disruptors later. For this fleet, we've got our frigates, and we've also got some screening ships. So once you start seeing enemies using screening ships, frigates are going to need screening ships, so you need to screen your fleet. So same sort of destroyer, so it's equivalent destroyers on either side, equivalent technology, and our same frigate build. So let's see if the screening ships make a difference and turn the tides.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Got the plasma weapons going off, torpedoes going in. Cruisers haven't taken any damage. Oh, yep, there we go. We lost 1. Lost some destroyers. The torpedoes are still effective against the destroyers as well, as we saw in the first battle. So you can see that whole point dropping. Look at it drop really quick. Each wave of torpedoes. Let's have a look at the damage. Oh, they're getting wasted now. Space torpedoes, yeah, just look at it. Look how much more damage they're doing to every other weapon. They're probably doing more damage than all of that combined by the look of it. It's just nuts. Probably the same there. So you can see how effective space torpedoes are in the early game. And same as once you get into the mid game, the level 2 torpedoes, the armored torpedoes, it's going to be the same. Yeah, this fleet's done. So even with the screening ships, it wasn't enough. Okay, what did they lose? So that's the frigates. Lost 7 cruisers, 13 destroyers versus 3 destroyers and what's that? 9 corvettes, 9 frigates. Yeah, so very effective. So just adding in some screening ships to your frigates, same result in the end. You're still beating the enemy. And remember, these cruisers, the cruisers we just fought, they had torpedoes in them as well. It's just the frigates outnumbered them, and it's just more difficult for the cruisers are taking so much damage early, losing so many numbers. It's just not the fight long enough. Right, next battle. So for this fight, we've got our cruisers again, but this time we're going with corvettes since our destroyers were crap at screening. Let's try our corvettes against frigates. Now the corvettes are equipped with just some standard mix of weapon, kinetic and plasma and lasers, so we can do lots of damage to shields, get rid of the shields, and then do damage quickly to the armor and hull, and just standard loadout. swarm computers who charge in there and try and interdict them and stop them from getting to our cruisers, hopefully. For our frigates, we've got 40 frigates, 40 corvettes as well. So same ship design as what we've got there for the corvettes. So they'll probably, the corvettes will duke it out, and the frigates are the same again. So we've got 40 of each. Let's see how the battle goes.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
So far looks like it's more even early exchange. Cruisers are not dying as quickly. They're hanging around. Oh, they lost a couple now. Now they're taking some hits. But we're losing more numbers here. Firepower's still roughly the same. So this fleet's taking more damage. You can just see it dropping now. Armor, shields, and the hull points. Still, this is about the best we've seen so far. Let's check the damage. Space torpedoes are still doing really good. Well, I guess we've got the space torpedoes and the cruisers as well. We've got to factor that in. Even early game, they're just devastating the level 1 torpedoes, which you get very, very early. So don't neglect that, guys, if you're playing in the tournament tonight. Cheap and effective. There we go. So that fleet's done. So they lost 3 cruisers and 25 corvettes. So the screening ships helped to prevent damage to the cruisers enough so that they could retreat more. That's alright. And what did we lose? We lost 16 frigates, 9 corvettes. Alright. So once again, our frigates prevailed. That's 4 battles in a row. Alright, let's try something else. Okay, for this fight I've changed it up a little bit. We've got our cruisers, but I've made a bit of a carrier build. We've got our strike craft, extra missiles, torpedoes. We've got our carrier combat computer, shields and armor, speed, and a bit of targeting. I could put another afterburner in there if you really want to. Now this one we've got corvettes, but I've made them all disruptors to see how the disruptors go against combating the enemy's corvettes and frigates. They swarm so they can get in there, charge in there, do some damage, hopefully stop them getting close to our carriers. We've got the design we used from the last game, a standard mix of weapons for our corvettes here. For the frigates, they remain unchanged, same build. Let's see how this plays out.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
There you go, carriers are engaging, staying at range, strike craft going in. So both sides are taking losses. They're closing in, trying to get to the carriers. Let's check the damage. Okay, first battle, the space torpedoes are not the top damage because they haven't reached the carriers yet to do their torpedo attacks, and obviously they're not able to effectively target the corvettes. So this seems to be working better. Space torpedoes doing damage to armor, and that's about it at the moment. So some damage to hull there on the corvettes. So we're going alright. We can see the fleet power dropping, hulls dropping, the disruptors are getting straight through. Not a single cruiser lost yet. Yeah, it looks like a clear victory. There we go. That's it. There we go. So the combination of using disruptors on the corvettes and also having the strike craft with your cruisers. So if someone's using lots of frigates and you want to go your cruiser build, this looks like a good combination to use. You might decide to use destroyers as well with some disruptors and that. It's up to you what build you want. I'm just trying to show the overall I guess, strategy to that you can do. You can tweak it enough yourself. Let's have a look at the losses. So we lost no cruisers. That was really, really good. So our Corvettes did a great job of screening us. 21 lost, which is not bad, 50%. And they lost pretty much 50% of their fleet. Okay, I'm going to do one more final battle for this. So for this fight, we've got our Corvette fleet to see how that goes up against our frigates. Now our Corvettes are the same one last time, mass disruptors. So it may be that if your enemy is using frigates, you're just going to run with Corvettes to wipe out their frigates and whatever Corvettes that they've got, if that's what they're using, and then you go on and take the rest of their empire. So this is just a mass Corvette fleet, nice and cheap. And these ones are also using the Corvettes with disruptors to try and counter you. And we've got our same frigates once again. So you'd think this time the Corvette fleet should have the advantage of both firepower and the numbers of Corvettes with disruptors 2 to 1.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
You can see they've already lost quite a lot. Going down quite quickly. All those disruptors firing. And they're taking losses too, but they're going down faster. Let's just have a look at the damage now. So just small disruptors as expected because they're on both fleets. Space torpedoes not having much of an impact at all. So the frigates are pretty much useless in this scenario. Okay, that's the retreated fleet. So easy victory there for the Corvettes with disruptors. Let's have a look at the losses. So our Corvettes lost 29. Our victorious fleet lost 29 Corvettes. While the enemy lost 20 Corvettes and 16 destroyers, or 16 frigates. Okay, so we've seen there how you can counter frigates. I quite like the cruiser, to be honest, with the strike craft, because that's going to be effective against other things. It's also going to be really good against stations with the torpedoes and the strike craft, having them as well. So I just like that as a longer term investment, and you can always, as you get a lot better weapons, you might go, all right, let's get out of the strike craft and let's just go, level 2 armored torpedoes and make a torpedo cruiser. So this hopefully gives you a bit better idea of the early combat phase, and frigates are very powerful. I would certainly be including them in my fleets early on, and the only thing we've seen which is really, really effective was one, cruisers with carriers with the strike craft, and the combination of using Corvettes with disruptors. So you can use the Corvettes with the cruisers, or you can just use Corvettes solely. If you haven't got any technology to combat it, if someone's using mass frigates, go mass Corvettes with disruptors. So I would say early game, do not neglect picking that disruptor technology. That will be really key for you staying in the game, because you've got Corvettes already. You need that disruptor technology, so that if you see your enemies building lots of frigates, you go, great, I'm just going to pump out a whole bunch of Corvettes. We're going to obliterate that fleet, and then I've got the advantage in the war, and I'll be able to gain a upper hand here in this battle, and hopefully you win. Alright, so if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to comment, got some ideas for some other videos, if you'd like me to show something in particular, let me know. And for all of you playing tonight, good luck. Alright, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.